First, Hunter, I only ask because I know if I don't, I'll never hear the end of it. Does this mean that is this it for you, or is next year still a possibility?
No, this doesn't mean that it's it for me. It's just more of a, if it is it for me, I want to be able to go through with it.
Okay. Jenny, last run, you've been here a long time. What will you take away from this place after all you've been through?
You know, I think there's obviously a lot of stuff to take away. You know, being here for 5 years, you experience a lot of big games, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but I think just, you know, really what I'll take away is kind of the bond that I've formed with a lot of my teammates, both past and present, you know, just in everything that we've gone through, and so I think that's the thing I'll take away from here the most.
Parker, I think Coach said you hurt your ankle in the game. What's your status?
You know, a lot can change in 24 hours, but we're trending in the right direction. We're working on it every day, and you know, we're going to keep trying to ramp it up and hopefully be ready for the game.
What is your opinion of the speeches? What are you gonna say?
You know, I'm gonna save that for the moment. No sneak peeks, but you know, just gonna try to talk from the heart, speak from the heart. Very grateful for my opportunity here and my time spent here. So, you know, hopefully it can. I won't be too nervous, but yeah, just gonna let everyone know, give thanks to everyone that deserves it. So that's kind of what I got planned.
And for Hunter and Parker, both you guys, do you remember your first conversation with Coach Self and kind of what led you here, and same for you? You guys remember kind of what that first conversation was like and how it went?
Yeah, well, my first conversation was actually in high school when he had cut me from the USA team, and so that was my first conversation with him. So yeah,
Mine was
still
a
mad
little
at him.
different. Yeah, mine
to
was a
this
little
day.
different. I wasn't expecting one from Coach Self, so it was more of a surprise for me, more of a grateful thing, more of a happy surprise than I'm sure it was Hunter. But yeah, you know, I'm glad we both got us here at the same time. So.
Jank, what's it been like for you kind of seeing your role as a walk-on change over the years and become kind of a leader of that group?
Yeah, I think that kind of just goes along with the experience, you know, especially with the amount of turnover that we've had the last couple of years. We've always had new guys coming in, cycling through, and so I think just my experience has led me to, you know, kind of just become a natural leader just because, you know, I know what's kind of expected here, and I think just kind of carrying the new guys along and trying to, you know, get them up to that standard.
Jake and Parker have about a minute left.
What do you guys all think of the K-State rematch? It was a pretty emotional game in Manhattan, and they got you that night. What do you think of the rematch? Hunter?
Yeah, I guess I'll speak on it. You know, we never like losing there, and so I think it's a really great opportunity for us, especially on senior night, you know, to kind of get that revenge. And so I'm really looking forward to it personally. I know these guys are as well. Just, you know, getting that revenge because obviously, you know, it's a big rivalry in college basketball, and so, you know, it's one we kind of need to get back.
Jenk, you've been here a long time, like you mentioned, and there's been a lot of times where the fan base is like, throw Jenk out there. Why doesn't he get to play more? He shoots it well. What's that been like for you to hear?
You know, it's been very special, obviously, getting the support of the fans. You know, tomorrow night I'll be able to get my first start, so I think that's going to be a great experience. You know, hopefully some of those fans that have voiced their opinion will, you know, get that support.
All right, thank you two. Parker and Jake.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it.
You did say you were
Guys,
going to get. You were going to
continue
get.
with
a video,
Hunter.
right?
You need a couple more questions for Hunter.
Hunter, while they're walking out, what can you say about those two guys and your year as a teammate with them?
It's been a ton of fun. You know, transferring, coming in from a new school, meeting a whole new group of guys. It's been really fun. Like, it's been better than I could have ever imagined. You know, hanging out with a new group of guys, just the way we bonded, the way we gelled off the court has been super fun. It's always, you know, a pleasure hanging out with the guys, whether it's, you know, just like in the hotel meeting room or just, you know, in the locker room after practice, before practice, stuff like that. You know, those two guys, but just the whole team in general. It's been a ton of fun just being around them.
Hunter, I read a stat today for the first time, I think, since 2020, Kansas isn't in the top 10. I guess maybe by Kansas standards, it hasn't gone the way maybe a lot of people envisioned, and now you've reached kind of a point of the season where if you lose, you go home. What's the key moving forward for you guys? How do you take it just one game at a time, and what's the maybe approach now that you guys maybe look to be getting healthy?
I know, yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, damn, once I got here, things just kind of went to crap. I think the mentality that, you know, we've kind of had, especially after the Baylor game, was kind of just like, you know, we just got to get ready for March because, you know, obviously I don't think we can probably, or statistically, or have any chance of winning the Big 12. We can still win the Big 12 tournament. But I think, you know, the NCAA tournament is the goal of every team in college basketball when the year starts. And you don't need to be a 1 seed or a 2 seed to win it. I think UConn proved that last year when they were a 4 seed and they just got hot at the right time. They were a team that had, you know, if not the most talent, one of the most talented rosters in the country. And they had, I remember because I had my podcast, so I was talking about college basketball. And I was talking about them back in, like, I think it was November or December, and how they had, you know, some hiccups and some down stretches where, you know, team or people around the country were kind of like, you know, like what happened to UConn? Like they were a preseason top team and they kind of just they fell off a little bit. What happened? But you know, that talent kind of rose to the top eventually. And when it came time to where, you know, the games really mattered and you know, one loss and you go home, they were able to string out 6 in a row. And I think you know, that's something that this team is very capable of.
And does this team have that confidence? I mean, do you in the locker room you see it every day?
I kind of gained some more confidence today because I was going on Twitter and I saw somebody compare us to the Chiefs, and I was going through the comparisons. I think they compared Furphy to Rashid Rice. If I will say I'm not the biggest Chiefs fan, Bills Mafia, but I know, yeah, it does hurt being here, seeing the Chiefs win. They luckily, thankfully, humbly compared me to Mahomes, which I appreciate. But then, like, you know, they just said how they were, you know, they had a little rough stretch during the regular season, and when it came time, when it mattered the most, they were able to pull off, you know, a streak of, I think, 4 wins, maybe 5 wins in a row in the playoffs, and now nobody cares about what they did in the regular season. They're Super Bowl champs, and so I saw that today, and that kind of inspired me a little bit.
You talked about your experience working with Coach Self as a high school guy. How different is he then compared to now when you get to work with him every day compared to just a short spurt?
It was pretty cool because I was in high school still learning from Coach Self because he was a college coach, and I was playing with a couple of college players, and so just getting a feel for kind of how college practices are run and kind of the speed and everything like that was really fun for me just to experience. And then getting here, I think it was great getting here as a senior because I had already had a lot of experience in college, and so I feel like I wasn't really easily rattled, or I feel like I'd seen and heard a lot from people, especially in terms of, you know, how they coach and stuff like that. So I think that was great for me because I came here kind of already seasoned and, you know, well adapted to handle Coach Self's coaching style.
Because of the name on the front of your jersey, Kansas will never be essentially an underdog, but there'll be a few people not counting and counting us out, and maybe a lower seed in the tournament. Does that give you an edge, and is that something that you think this team will rise to, and particularly yourself, having that edge you need to bring out the best?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like that can, I think a lot of people do kind of like hope to be the underdog in a way because that kind of gives them like that extra motivation. I feel like for me, during my basketball career, there's been a few times where I actually have been considered the underdog, like in like relative games and stuff like that. So I do think that could add like a chip to our shoulder per se, but at the end of the day, we are Kansas, and I think everybody realizes that when they play us. I think, you know, definitely their 3-point shooters realize that when they play us, but I think that'll always bring out the best in other teams, but at the end of the day, we are Kansas. We have a standard of excellence here that we have to uphold, and I think we're going to try to do that moving forward.
I'm going to ask, what's been the tone that Coach Self has brought to the team or the troubles of the last, not winning, with losses, and now you need to look ahead to March. What sort of tone has he brought to you in his communications?
Yeah, after the loss to Baylor, he was relatively calm because, he thought we had played pretty well in that game. And he said something really interesting. He was like, losing at Baylor isn't, the end of the world. It wasn't like a make or break for our season. That losing to Baylor wasn't the reason why we aren't going to win the Big 12. Losing games at West Virginia, at UCF, at Kansas State, at home versus BYU, those are the games where you kind of lose the Big 12 regular season. Games like BYU or games like Baylor happen where, you play good, but you're on the road playing a team that's also playing pretty good. And, if a team's playing at home, it's always statistically harder to beat them. And so games like that happen, those are kind of to be assumed. But I think it was kind of encouraging to see, us play pretty well at full strength, even though we didn't win. And I think the good part about all of this is, I think one thing that Coach Self said that will benefit us in the March Madness tournament is that there are no away games in the March Madness tournament. I think that'll benefit us greatly because, record speaking, I feel like you take out those away games, we're pretty good.
All right, you said this team is capable of winning 6 in a row come March. Do you feel like this team is built for a run in March versus the long kind of haul of conference play?
Yeah, I think, when it comes time to March, you don't really have to worry about resting your players, getting beat down by a hard Big 12 grueling schedule. I think, you usually play your best 5 to around 8, and you're gonna really rely on those guys to get you through games because you only got to win 2 games and then you get a nice little break before your next game. And I think that's why the Big 12 is so nice because it really prepares you for that. In the Big 10, we didn't really have that. We had more of like a structured schedule, and so I think playing in the Big 12 would definitely help with that, playing on Saturday, Monday, and so I do think this team is built for it. We have the talent, we have the skill, obviously we have the coaching, and I think we have that fan base that'll definitely help us wherever we land.
Hey, after the K-State loss over there, you clearly upset, and I think you said, I gotta do more for my team. I'm sure you remember that. What would your assessment be of that since then to today, and maybe could you point out some ways that you've delivered on that and feel good about that?
I think in spurts I have. I think I can say I've probably been a little inconsistent with that. Just trying to be the release for us offensively, and then just trying to be more of a presence in the paint defensively. And I think in terms of my ball screen defense, I feel like I've made big strides in that area, and that's something that coming into the season I really wanted to work on and improve and showcase, and I think I've been able to do that thus far, and so that's been something that I've been really happy with. But just continuing to try to rebound, defend, and make shots when I'm needed out there.
Does that memory, how you felt when you said that over there after that loss, is that something that stuck with you, especially since they're the next opponent? Are you kind of taken back to there, or have you moved all the way on?
I would say more in like the actual plays that I kind of let my team down that I remember more than that statement. I feel like the individual plays that I made or didn't make in the situations during the game, I feel like still stick out to me and things that I wish I could take back.
All right, Hunt, thank you.
Thanks.